Hello, hello, everybody. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for this. And you guys, if you're watching this, then last week I hosted the event, The Art of Feminine Liberation. And I was so high, like during that event, so pumped. And it was a joy to deliver that information to you. I've seen the comments and the messages come in. It's been amazing to watch. And today, oh, I hope you guys don't hear feedback. If there's no feedback for you, that I'm in a very different energy. It's the same in many ways, but like a quieter and fiercer at the same time. And here's what I mean, okay? So if you don't already know me, I'm sure you do, but my name is Jackie Lacroix. I've been coaching women around body, beauty, intimacy, men, money, and mission for 8 years. It's like, wow. And working in these areas even longer. And I don't know if you guys can hear feedback. Sunny, if you're on there, I don't know if you hear feedback too, but hopefully that will go away. And what I've noticed is women who get very, very excited about the possibilities in their life, right? It's like we move through phases, and I've moved through these phases, and I'm going to break so many of these down today. But we have kind of the doubt first, right? Where it's like, I'm not even sure that certain choices in certain areas of my life are possible, right? And then we go to some event, or we start working with a coach, and we get really, really, really fired up. Yes. And then it's like, how do I make this real? We step into it. And then the phase that isn't often talked about is like the burnout phase, right? Like the kind of women where there's this, it's not a facade of success, because in certain areas there's great success. But when you start talking to them behind the scenes, you hear that, oh, they're not actually that satisfied in their life, or that, like, gosh, you guys know that deep contentment where it's like you're soaking in your own life. It's so good. And that's not to say everything goes perfectly, but that you've established some equilibriums and some balance where it's just the everyday feels so good, right? So what I find is that women are somewhere along that continuum. And I want to give you a little bit of my backstory while we're here today and just explain what I've seen in women. But I'm going to be a little bit, can you guys handle it? I'm going to be a little bit fiercer. And yet it's like a down tempo fierce. As I was getting ready for this morning, I was like, I feel like I'm in lioness energy today, but like the lioness who just got up from a nap, which is not completely inaccurate. I slept in well this morning and felt phenomenal. But we're going to say some things here today that I haven't said before, because I want to cut to the core of what women need and what I'm seeing not out there being available, right? So let's dive a little more deeply into each of these areas that I've been talking about, right? So this first section that women often find themselves in, of doubt. Now, I'm sure at some point in your life, in whatever area, maybe all of them, you've had a feeling of doubt, right? Maybe you were launching into a career and you had the nerves, and could you get the job? And maybe it was mostly male dominated, or maybe, your parents weren't fully on board, but you so wanted to do it, so believed in it. But there's, even before we actually make the action, there's just this, it's like a heavy, it almost feels like a physical weight inside of, oh my gosh, can I really do that? Is that something that's really possible for me? And that's the first thing I always encounter when I work with women. And it's the first thing that I encounter in myself whenever I'm moving to a new level in one of the areas of my life, right? So whether it's body care, whether it's beauty, whether it's intimacy, whether it's relationships with men, money, mission, everything usually begins with either an unawareness that something is possible, right? Some degree or version of suffering in that area, and then just a belief that that could possibly happen for me, right? And so one of the things I most love doing is just exposing women to the reality, hi guys, as you're coming on here, that this is actually possible. It's actually possible, right? So stepping into beautiful body care and the result of a body that you love more than ever being able to feel so aligned with your appearance, your feminine appearance, in whatever kind of situation you find yourself in. Interacting with intimacy, whatever your life stage looks like right now, but knowing that grounded, empowered, centered strength, that's yours, right? All of these areas, the woman first usually begins with, Jackie, I'm not even sure that I could do that. First, she actually begins with, is that a thing? Like, is that kind of transformation possible in the world, right? Like, could someone actually do that, you know? Like when women come to me specifically with intimacy, they've possibly never experienced certain things, and they've come to the conclusion that either they're not capable or it simply does not exist and people are lying, right? Like that kind of result can't be real. And my favorite thing to do is first show them that it is real, that it is possible, and then lead them into recognizing that they could actually have it too, right? So in all of those areas at first, we are first breaking doubt. We're first breaking the belief that it's not possible, and if it is possible, it's not possible for me, okay? And then what happens is women get so excited, right? Understandably so. I mean, if you suddenly recognized and you saw the transformations of somebody's body or somebody's appearance or somebody's business or somebody's relationship, you would be like, yes, let's go, right? Like, it's like stepping out of a black and white world into a world of technicolor, right? And you suddenly recognize that this other planet has existed this whole time and no one told you, right? I know in certain areas of my life that I've transformed, it's literally like living on a different planet. Yes? Which is wonderful, right? So that's phase 2. We move out of doubt, we move into, oh my gosh, this is like a real thing. Like people actually do this, and it's not a pretend Instagram post. It actually could be that good, or at least a whole heck of a lot better in this particular area of life or that particular area of life, right? So when we believe in something, when we then have hope, right, we take actions. If you guys are ever struggling, this is just a little side tip. If you're ever struggling to create transformation in your life, if you're ever struggling to get yourself to take action, usually it's because there's a lack of belief that it's possible, that it's going to work for you, or that it won't cause bigger problems that you just want to avoid, right? And interestingly enough, we're going to get into all those kinds of pieces today. So we get excited it's possible, and then we have this rush of energy like, let's go take action. Let's go do this thing. Let's go join 15 gyms. Let's go buy 5 juicers. Let's go to the makeup store and get a huge haul. Let's go. It's beautiful when women begin to take action. But what I find is that so many coaches leave them there. Okay. And this is the part where, like I said earlier, we're gonna get a little more real sometimes than I normally do. And look, I love and cherish and am cheering on every woman out there who's helping anybody in any capacity, at any time, in any way, all the time, right? I know the importance of this work, and you don't have to be perfect to be doing a great job of making a big difference. However, I find that a lot of women are, and sometimes the coach is female, sometimes the coach is male, but we're just going to focus on kind of female coaches right now, or coaching programs. And again, all respect, so much good can come from anything. But I find that it's kind of this rah, and do, and like take the actions, and you can do the thing, and you can have the thing. And if you don't have the thing, it's because you're not doing the thing. And it's like they ride on that high. And so if you watch a lot of these kinds of, this way of thinking, or this way of teaching, this way of training, which I like half of, right? Where we get so inspired by the idea, and the transformation stories are shown in the before and the after and the results. And it's like, wow, I can do that. And then the next step in convincing someone or encouraging someone to make the move of taking the actions that are required for that is to get them fired up that if you want that, you must do this, right? However, have you ever noticed that when you're in a vibe like that, right? Like I remember this when I was in school a lot, when I was in college, not so much grad school. By grad school, I'd kind of figured it out, I chilled out a little bit. But in college, like this was very much my mantra. Do the thing. And if you're not getting the results, then do more of the thing. And if you don't have time to do more of the thing, then cut out the rest of your life so that you can focus more on doing the thing, right? Which I got extraordinary academic honors beyond my wildest dreams. many, many degrees in a very short period of time. But there was like a lack of balance in my life that I had to then learn to counteract or course correct later on. And I'm so glad that I did. And that's a lot of times what will happen with women in kind of coaching programs like that, certification programs like that, where everything is so focused on the doing that they actually, go with me here, they lose the core essence of the feminine energy that makes them happy and attractive in the first place. I said what I said, okay? I've been into so many rooms of business women who are starting their businesses, women who've grown their businesses successfully, women who are crushing it in a numbers realm. And the trends that I find is, and it's fascinating to me, guys, it's very fascinating, that a lot of times, like, the numbers will crumble, okay? The numbers, it'll falter, or there'll be a full-on, like, boom, right? So there's that. Or their physical health will crumble, and there'll be some kind of physical or mental or both burnout that takes them out of the game temporarily. Or something else will happen in another realm of life that maybe they weren't attending to as much. Sometimes things are out of your control, and you can be the most balanced, blissed out woman ever, and you don't control other people's free will, right? Would that we could, but we don't. But these are things where it's almost like the woman has an internal meltdown, right? Like, life happens externally. But what I find is that women who get into this, if you'll just do mode, they crash. Now, we talk about that for both men and women, right? But somehow, and I'm very important for men too, okay? I'm just not talking about that topic today. I'm not in any way dismissing its importance. But with women, if you think of, and if you've been in my world for a while, you understand that the core of what makes a woman flourish is her intuition, her openness to receive, her ability to use that intuition to determine what to open to and what not to, who to open to and who not to. And it's this kind of energy flow that runs and balances her life, so she knows her yes and she knows her no. And she has absolutely no problem holding her ground in either one and both. Okay? And when women essentially get into this almost masculine energy, they lose the very core essence of that. Okay? It's like it gets trampled in the hustle. It gets just destroyed in the grind. It's like this precious little rose that just got caught in the running of the bulls and, like, it's gone. You know what I'm saying? And then they look for it, right? They've made all this money. People are so impressed by them. And they want to know, where did that part of me go? Or perhaps for some women, why do I feel like that part of me never even existed, right? And I see this all the time. I go to so many business events, women's personal development events, and it's like this climb, crescendo, crash. And they hustle. Oh my gosh, internal meltdown. Who am I? Okay? I want to juxtapose this to a different way of doing things. There are particular coaches who I follow, who I work with, who I've noticed are not always the most famous. But I've been with them for a long time, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, long time. And one of the reasons I stay with them is I've noticed that their life is so beautifully balanced that it stays good. Okay? Now, I'm not saying, and what I notice with these women, this is the critical difference one of the critical differences I want you to pick up before I move to the next point, is that their external life will still happen, okay? They'll go through bad breakups, they'll have an ill child, they'll have, some giant move. Something will happen in their life to shake it up. But they, in their core internal energy, don't lose this essence or energy at all. That doesn't mean there aren't times that it's a little more difficult to maintain, that it takes maybe a little more effort to maintain, that they slow down the pace a tiny bit, but there's not this giant crash and meltdown that leads to these kinds of like existential crises, practically, where entire business brands just die, like, instantly, because the woman who was running it was not internally grounded in this feminine, receptive, well-balanced energy. Okay? Again, no judgment at all. It's just, are you like me? Do you want a better way? Yes. I mean, if the answer is no, if anybody wants to sign up for burnout, be my guest, but I don't want that. And yet, here's the flip side of this equation, okay? So, yes, there are a few coaches who do this really well. The problem is they teach in different areas. We're going to get to that in a second. But sometimes when a woman is in this beautiful, soft, receptive, feminine energy and she's intuitive, etc., it's almost though, and tell me if you resonate more with being this kind of woman, she struggles with stepping into a more masculine energy where she can get stuff done, right? Where she can take the lead, call the shots, tell it like it is, move things forward in a very tangible way, okay? And those women, again, fierce Jackie today, okay, often find themselves caught in, God forbid, any kind of abusive situation, but certainly often living out less than their calling, okay? And when they come to me, they're looking for more of developing that inner fortitude or the sense of confidence. They use different kind of words, but I know it's really, they don't want to lose that precious feminine energy that they have and that they've developed. But they also know there has to be something more that's going to allow them to step beyond the confines of where other people are very comfortable with them staying and serving. But they know in their heart that God's calling them to something more, right? To a both and. And they need to head more toward, you know, sometimes they'll use words that I actually don't encourage them to use. Boss energy, like hustling or getting things done or discipline, these words that are actually not necessarily the answer. But they don't want to lose the precious feminine essence that they do have, that they have cultivated, that they value, right? And so they go out there and they look for coaches and they find one or the other. Yes? So let's say that this beautiful, adorable, magnificent, understands the value of the feminine energy, feminine essence, does not want to get on the burnout masculine track, has never been on it, wants to start a business. Yes, or she wants to start a side income, or she wants to start some kind of passion project that will give her a sense of identity and fulfillment beyond her current roles. Not instead of, just in addition to, okay? And so she goes out there and she looks for business coaches. And a lot of what she finds is the hustle mindset, right? The masculine dominated, do the things, do more of the things, do the things faster. Please be quiet if you don't like it. I mean, I'm sorry. That sounds like terrible intimacy to me. And I know we're talking about business, okay? But the world is a loop and things connect. If you've listened to, okay, another tip, okay? If when you're listening to someone who's coaching you, this is really bold of me to say, but here we go, okay? If someone's coaching you, and it doesn't have to be a man, but it could be a woman, right? And they're speaking to you in a way, okay? And then flip this, weird you out a little bit, but just for the sake of this exercise, flip the context of their words in your head and imagine it were, you know, a situation where they're discussing intimacy. Do you feel good? Do you feel pushed into something you don't want to do? Do you feel a little violated? Do you feel that god-awful sense of social pressure of, I know I don't want to do this, but I'm kind of already in the current and I feel like I can't say no, and so I better smile and pretend that I like it, right? Intimacy and money are the two areas where women give away their power. So I like to train women in that if the way that a business coach is working with you feels like something that will be violating in a different context, that's not your style. Okay. Now, I also know that there do require structures and strategies and tangible ways to actually get a business or a side income or whatever it is that this woman wants to create off of the ground, right? But we don't want to lose this energy that the women who often go for the numbers become, you know, overtly kind of on the outside successful and then have these crashes and burnouts. We don't want that. So how do we do both? Okay. When I meet people, and I hear this all of the time, like so much, I don't know, I need to develop more varied responses because it's getting a little old. But I want you to hear what I'm going to say and understand that it's not me. This is the bombshell identity that I embody through years, over a decade and a half of intense personal development and plenty of life and handling life, right? Okay. Through personal development techniques, not just waddling through it, but very consciously allowing life to make me who I want to be rather than kind of taking me off on a different path. Okay. Why I want to say that, why I want you to hear in that is this is not just mine. Okay. Sometimes people who meet me now are under the misimpression, oh, good morning, love. Good to see you here. That I must just be born with this. And when I say, actually, when I was little, I hid behind my parents because I was so shy. And I went through a period where I had put on quite a bit of weight and was very miserable in my body and berating myself all the time. Like, I've been through different phases. So they see me now, they assume, don't we all, right? We see the after and we assume that's just you, right? That's just lucky for you. And so what I've cultivated, curated, is available, in my opinion, for any woman, right? Which takes us back to what I said at the beginning, these doubts where women think, oh, one, maybe it's not possible at all. Two, if it is possible, it's probably not possible for me. So I have to lead her into understanding that this is an identity. Because here's what happens, right? As I was saying, I'll walk into these rooms. People don't even know who I am. Understandably, right? Compared to some of the numbers in the worlds that I now rotate in, like, understandably that you have never heard of me and have no idea who I am. But there's this energy that I carry where I notice a lot. I mean, and this is very cool right here, okay? This is almost another tip for you. I'm giving you guys a lot of random tips in this, but it's fun. I live in LA. I have no idea who anyone is. My mother the other day said something like, like Chris Pine, I want to say, like she said something about Chris Pine. And I was like, that could be a movie star, that could be a singer, that could be an athlete, that I like no freaking clue who anyone is. And I love it that way, because here's what happens when I go in these rooms. These are people who other people know. And I have no idea who they are. And because of that, and I almost now do it intentionally, I get to maintain this authentic energy where I just want to see a soul for who they are and who they want to be. And I've cultivated and curated the ability to stand in my own power without shutting other people out, and also maintain a beautiful lifestyle, work style balance. And these people who are so much like, they're incredibly successful, want that energy. And they think sometimes mistakenly that it's something that I am or just got lucky, but it's not. This is a framework that I have created, curated, cultivated over a decade. And I have watched other women pick it up and run with it. So here's what tends to happen when women come to work with me in one area, specifically intimacy, not just because that's been a very popular area I help women in, but because, like I just said, women give their power away in intimacy and in money, right? Just, it's for somebody else. You can have it. I'll act happy about it, right? All the time. When I empower a woman around intimacy, which inevitably gets us into the conversations of body and beauty, which I'm going to show you guys in a second, she takes off, okay? Because my goal as a coach in that particular area, and in any area that I teach in, is not, here's the mechanical changes that you need to force yourself through to make your husband stop whining. Okay, I'm sorry, right? Fierce Jackie, welcome. I hope your coffee is very strong this morning. Okay, like, that's not how I teach. Everything is about the woman you become. Why? Because we can't control anyone else's behaviors. Yes, everyone has free will. How many of you have experienced someone who you really would like them to do something or behave in a certain way, and you cannot get them to do it? It is outside of your control. Yes, we can only control ourselves. Moreover, that's why we're here on earth. There's a divine design that's our responsibility, and it's an opportunity for us. And the stepping into that is what I like to do with women. So in intimacy, they come into their power. They suddenly recognize their worth, their ability to stand up for themselves, their ability to be confident in situations where maybe previously they were petrified. I mean, not just a little lack of confidence, but terror. And when that internal transformation happens, it's like I have released, it's like a slingshot. It's like, boom, I release this woman into the world. And I watch, right? Because not everyone, is on every single call that I lead every single month, but I watch them, we become friends on social media or whatever, and they start businesses. Suddenly they step into this more visible brand. They're more comfortable with their appearance. As they're writing, they're not apologizing for what they want or what they say or what they've done. They are just owning themselves. And I just think all of that began with being empowered in intimacy. Now, what happened there, right? The woman became bold, and so many of these women start businesses, okay, which we're going to get to in a second. She became bold in other areas of her life after she was empowered in an internal aspect of her femininity. And this is where so many coaching programs and business coaching programs specifically are massively failing women, because they are giving them this endless to-do list. And look, this is my pre-workout drink. I love it. Okay. It's called Energize, and that is exactly what it does. It's like it has to be used in the overall picture of a plan that really transforms, right? But in these coaching programs, it's like they hand you a shot of motivation, like, go do the thing to the point of burnout, because that's what badasses do, right? And they give you this long list of tasks. And then in certain coaching programs, which I detest and avoid at all costs, there's a healthy dose of guilt, an unhealthy dose actually is what I should say, an unhealthy dose of guilt on top in case you haven't, I'm really going to get into this in a second, in case you haven't done enough of the things, right? Because if you haven't gotten the result, it certainly is not the fault of the coach's framework. It's the fact that you have not done the things, yes? Which then leads to what? Women either kind of run from the process because they can feel the burnout coming, or the burnout begins and then they suddenly are not able to perform at all. Yes. Or I said we were going to go there, or because life happens, or because maybe they still have limiting beliefs that were never broken by the coach. The coach is just shoving actions on them, right? In a very masculine, violating, in my opinion, almost feeling kind of way. Like, you will take this and you will do it and you will thank me. Okay. No, I won't, is what I want to say. I'm just being real. But what will happen is either life happens for these women, or they have internal beliefs that they haven't had the time or the chance or the coaching to unwind. Okay. And so they'll get on these coaching calls. They won't have achieved the result yet, or they won't have been able to follow through on the actions, and they'll whine. Okay. How many of you have been in female coaching programs where someone takes half an hour of the call to go through her entire life story, and it's not a moment of vulnerability? It's almost like, it depends on the woman. Sometimes is it like, please affirm me? Sometimes it's a legitimate breakdown where the process has not worked. And she has pushed herself while holding in sight this dream that was promised to her. And she's crashed and she's burned. And now she's coming, like, just almost in her meltdown to have something explained to her, to be held, to be heard, right? Because the process didn't build in feminine flourishing on the way to her business success. Can I say that again? The process did not build in feminine flourishing on the way to her business success. I see this over and over and over and over. And do you know what happens when women get caught in this cycle? They go look for someone else's new system. They go look for someone else's new strategy. They go look for someone else's new business framework. And business frameworks can be wonderful. They can do incredible things. But if you as a woman are not cared for, tended to, healed, and it's not instant, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but we have to address the core areas of womanness if we're going to be a successful business woman. If you want to be a successful business machine, then no, you won't really probably resonate with any of the things that I'm saying, and that's totally fine. You do you. You don't have to agree with me, align with me, never, okay? Because I don't force myself on people. That is a core tenet of how I operate in the world. So I see this so frequently, and then the women just kind of, they move from coach to coach. They move from framework to framework. They move from business model to business model. They change. And look, sometimes this happens for beautiful reasons, so don't misunderstand me. Sometimes it's gorgeous, but I do see too much of just this hopping around, that when you meet the woman, sometimes in person, or you get on a one-on-one call, you can hear the lack of internal healing and grounding. And it's like she's just grabbing at things that look like lifesavers because she feels like she's drowning. I want you to learn how to float in the water, like blissfully, like on your back, looking up at the sky. The waves are perfect. The sun is setting. That kind of energy in your life. And from there we create, which is feminine design, isn't it? Right? When we are in an attractive energy, we bring toward us things that can create life in us. I'm not getting any more, blunt than that. We open to the opportunity to interact with those things. We use our intuition to know what are the things we open to, what are the things we don't open to. And by receiving the things that are already drawn to us in that energy, life comes forth. We create. So all of like beautiful, organic, natural, phenomenal feeling. I mean, we just went through, and this is just how I use metaphors, okay? We went through an example of how a business coach kind of shoving a framework on someone who isn't really on board and is not really sure she's fully a yes, but there's just everyone else is screaming and jumping up and down around her, so maybe she should be a yes and she's just stupid, right? No. Now imagine there's just this endless euphoric flow of exactly what works for you, and you're able to receive it. It's who you are and it's what you're doing. It's who you are and it's what you're doing. It's who you are and it's what you're doing. Okay? So when people encounter that energy, and currently they're encountering it in me quite a bit, and I've turned up the volume, if you will, of what has already been inside for a long time. But the other women who I unleash in this area, the same things happens to them. I want you to hear that. It's not just, oh, Jackie can do this, okay? Women of all ages, women of all appearances, women of all weights, okay? When you're in that, people come to you and they just want what you have. They don't care what it is. And let me tell you, that is the biggest business hack you will ever find. Because while you can go through a structure, you can go through a strategy, you can get people all fired up about a framework, if the person who's living it out, when you meet them, if the embodiment of them is not someone who you really want to become, or become more like, right? Your own version of. Why would you do that, right? So the coaches, again, who I've followed, have maintained their own grounded, soulful, intuitive-led, highly self-honoring, highly self-respected, and strategic and wise energy, and their businesses have never crashed. Ever. Ever. Neither has their own health. Neither has like the beautiful, healthy relationships that they can sustain, okay? It's stunning. And I love them, but they're not always teaching the full picture, right? They have their own callings, their own assignments, and they'll help women in certain containers. Here's what I've recognized does not exist. And this is the kind of the birth of the alliance. In fact, I have a mini whiteboard here, okay, you guys? I'm traveling. You know I love my whiteboard desperately. I think through whiteboards. But I brought a little one in my suitcase. So here's what we're going to do. Ooh, these are bold, thick colors. There we go. That's the side of the marker that'll work. These are the areas I taught on in the Art of Feminine Liberation. So I want to very quickly go over them. And then we're going to turn to what does it look like when a woman wants to be grounded in this, in these areas, and she wants to begin a successful business or side income or purpose and service beyond herself. And I have a framework for that too, of course, yes. But the frameworks must work and they must include this. So I will show you exactly what I mean. Okay? So you guys remember the 6 areas. I've kind of essentially distilled the bombshell pillars. If you guys have been with me for a long time, you remember the 12 bombshell pillars. These are the 6 areas. You guys see that without too much glare? There we go. Body, beauty, intimacy, men, money, mission. Yes? So what I find is this right here, for starters, is almost always ignored. Can you imagine this being part of a business curriculum? But it's like, how could it not be? And I see this sometimes with, okay, here we go again, fierce Jackie, with men business plans, with men business coaching programs, with men business certifications, etc. Right? It's like, get to the gym, 5 a.m., lift heavy, push yourself, suck it up, right? My man voice. And okay, you do you, boo, but That's not for me. And what I find with women who do that is the same cycle of burnout. Heck, I even find it with the men sometimes, right? They just don't necessarily admit it. But it's this, if you will just grind hard, you'll get the result. Yeah, and then you'll collapse. And then all of the results that you've pushed for, you won't be able to sustain or, what a concept, enjoy, because you'll be in the middle of a meltdown, right? Then we look at the feminine business coaching programs. I mean, like, sometimes there's no mention of body care anywhere at all. Like, it doesn't even, it's just not there. And sometimes, should I say this? I probably shouldn't say this, but we're going to say this. Sometimes it's because the woman herself, who is leading the program, who is coaching women in this area, and again, respect to all things, okay? Goodness, growth can come from all things. But I've noticed that a lot of women who develop some kind of business coaching program or are coaching other women in their business, they are hustling for numbers. Maybe they're getting their clients numbers results, but I'm not interested in my life in just numbers results. If all I get is numbers results, I will have failed. They're hustling with that, but they haven't taken care of their own bodies. Maybe they haven't even healed their own internal like woundedness around their bodies. There's shame around their bodies. There's a distance that they want to have from their physical selves, which perhaps sometimes leads them to focus too much on the numbers, because the numbers are a way to hide from your physical embodied femininity, right? Because you're a boss, but you're still in a body. Yes? So sometimes the coach legitimately does not know how to lead women through the body care, body love, body confidence that not only allows you to enjoy your feminine life, but believe it or not, it allows you to keep up with your business growth better, enjoy it better, and from confidence tends to come increased willingness to be visible, which is a large portion of running online businesses, right? It doesn't have to be in every single model, but in many of them, it's a factor, right? So what if a body care plan, and not one that's like hustle, grind, show up. Are you doing it even though you don't feel like it? Okay, no. Compassionate, empathetic, highly intuitively led, designed to suit your lifestyle, your preferences, your body type. What if that were built in to your business plan? What if that were built in to a certification to create an incredible online business? So you're getting a business and you're taking phenomenal care of your body on the way. Not because you're trying to tackle too much at one time, but because it's built in a way that fuels each other, right? A well cared for body fuels your ability, your energy, your desire, your willingness, your confidence to show up in your business. Yes? And as you have a way now of that you're being certified, that you're learning to coach women, you're able to lead them into better body care as well. How many of you have noticed post-COVID, it's gotten out of control? It's gotten to a level that is, I mean, overweight and obesity, yes, there are other body issues as well, but that is a very common one. And after the pandemic, it has reached new heights that have caught me off guard, right? Walking through airports and cities and stuff. Women must begin with body care. Look, I was thinking this, I don't remember, last night, this morning, my mini whiteboard. Here's what happens. When we don't take care of our bodies as women, this is why this is so essential. It's truly the first domino. When we don't take care of our bodies as women, do you know what happens? We feel unattractive. Now, I desperately work. I mean, not desperately. I work very hard, and I have to really, it's breaking a massive misconception in women to differentiate their body and their body care and their body stewardship, the state of their body, from their appearance, okay? Because they're actually two different areas, even though they overlap. But before you've done that healing work and you've been able to distinguish them and know how to just heal this first, and then move to this once this has been dealt with, which makes this so much easier. When a woman hasn't done that and she's unhappy in her body, she feels unattractive. You're like, no kidding, Jackie, right? But watch this. When she doesn't take care of her body, when she doesn't feel attractive, what happens here? Right? She doesn't want to do it. Or if she does, she doesn't feel confident. She doesn't believe him when he's desperately lavishing praise over her, right? She can't receive it. Yeah? And she's maybe not even confident enough in how her body operates in those ways to be able to enjoy the experience herself, right? So lack of body care, lack of confidence in her appearance, crappy experiences here. What happens when this beautiful, magnificent design is actually a crappy experience for women? She doesn't really have too much fondness for these guys over here, right? Because although it's not the only way they'd like to interact with us, it's definitely high on the list. And so we start to have very negative beliefs, experiences. We have antagonism, or we just flat out try to avoid men because intimacy is a bad experience. We often, there's many reasons for that, but one of the main ones that's always in there usually is a lack of feeling attractive in a world where everyone has been photoshopped to the hilt, right? And when we then look in the mirror at a body that we haven't learned to love and care for unconditionally, it just feels like this cycle of dead weight that we can't escape. So then what happens? You guys may remember this from last week's event. I touched on it briefly. If we don't feel good here, many women will run and hide here, okay? In their careers, many of the entrepreneurs that I've met and worked with and seen in events over the years, they'll hide behind growing money and building an empire and being a boss babe because they're freaking petrified of being intimately known and vulnerable with a man and receiving his love, admiration, adoration at all these levels, right? So they'll hide behind it. And they'll create almost a mission out of becoming empowered, which is great. I believe in it too. But in a way that cuts off all of this, okay? And this is another tough thing to say, but when you meet someone online, it can be very different from what you experience in person. These areas, and don't just get caught on this and be like, oh, it's because she has a bunch of makeup on or she looks prettier. That's why no. The energy of a woman is built in these areas. Okay. The power of a woman, and there's empowerment in this too, but the activation of her power in the world is built in these. I kind of like my mini whiteboard. I feel like Vanna White here, okay? So when you meet a woman like I was discussing at the beginning of this, who's in the numbers game, and she's killing it, right? And everybody knows her, and she's just on the circuit, whatever. She's crushing it here. Sometimes she's balanced, and God bless, that's wonderful. I then wish she would teach it, but usually they're not teaching it again. They're teaching like small little, they're teaching one version of e-commerce. So they're teaching, whatever. Yes? Because they haven't addressed these areas here. And here's what's even sadder. Do you guys want to hear something really sad? Don't cry, because I've got a solution. But a lot of times when women start to build this, like maybe they'll start out with a decent balance here, kind of like we were saying, right? But then they turn the focus here because they feel that call, they feel that pull, they want to make a difference. And some women won't step into this because they fear they'll lose this. And because they see the women who grow in money and in mission, and they do lose that feminine essence and that health and that balance and that energy of being well in their body and their beauty and their intimate relationships and with men, right? And they're like, I don't want to go there. So that's exactly the dynamics I was discussing earlier. You have the women who've mastered femininity and don't want to step into more masculine structures because what if I become one of those women who I don't want to be like, right? These kind of hard driving, numbers only, never sees her friends anymore, right? And similarly, the women who are like, go for it, let's do it, right? Either because they feel pulled or because they're running and they're hiding. Totally understand. Newsflash, I have done this in the past, okay? Back in academia, this is exactly what I did. Okay, just like run from any of the soft, open, vulnerable, petrifying feeling until you've done the healing areas. And so like they're in this energy of success, but the energy when you meet them, and maybe even the physical state of their body being cared for, loved on, is not there, right? Which is what I'm saying. When people encounter my energy or the energy of the women who I train, the feedback that we get is very different, It's like, who are you? And how did you become this way? And like, just tell me the things. What do I need to know or do? Because that's what they think it is, to step, like to radiate like this. What is this? What is this? Who are you? What planet are you from? Right? I'm from a different planet. This is the answer, right? Like a planet where this BS, two choices, has been blown up, and we refuse. We adamantly refuse, okay? So many women come to me largely because of this energy that I embody and are like, I want to start an online business, but I want it to feel good. I want to help women. I want to teach women femininity. I want to teach them to be confident in their bodies. What really happens is they go through my content and they think, why did no one tell me this? Why did no one tell me this? There's almost this sense of having been wronged, right? Like I have been robbed of the opportunity to be the fullest woman that I could have been this whole time, right? So they get very passionate and then they want to go help other women, which I love. And those are the kinds of women who I draw toward me. Is there's service is built in to their being. They just want to be of service in the world. So they've experienced the transformation and they want to go do something with it. Yes? And they say, now what, Jackie? And I'm like, well, so I've been coaching women in business individually, independently, helping them start their own online courses, helping them build webinars, helping them figure out their audience, work their branding. I lead them through their photo shoots. And I haven't really discussed this much because I've always known that there's something that needs to be more comprehensive, right? Because some women will come to me and they have an idea for a course. They have an idea for content that they already have on their heart that they want to put out in the world. But many, many, many other women really like the Bombshell content, right? Like the content that I've created over the years. I have at this point, I think probably almost 10 courses, quite a bit, right? And it covers all of these areas. Yes? So what if, for those of you who have had that dream in the back of your mind and moving through the same framework kind of that I mentioned at the beginning of this of like doubt, is that even possible, to doubt, it's possible, but could I do it myself, to, oh my gosh, it's possible, it exists, it's real, this is amazing. And then what do I do? And then is it going to throw off the rest of a balance, right? Can I do this in a way that feels amazing, or am I getting on a train where someone's going to be pummeling me with the shoulds and the have-tos that don't feel aligned and that pull me out of exactly the balance that all of this content has finally gotten me into, right? I'm never going to do that to you, ever. Because the world doesn't need more women running around selling stuff who are not healed and embodied in a beautiful feminine energy. Period. I mean, yes, women being financially empowered is important, but women being healed and on a mission, those are the women we really need. Those are the women we really need. We don't need more women who are secretly bashing their body behind closed doors. Okay? We don't need more women who are painting on an appearance as a form of competition while judging other women and feeling judged by other women instead of being deeply grounded in their appearance. We definitely don't need more women who are out of whack in intimacy, okay? Either using it to manipulate, which those women generally cannot stand me. So they're not usually in my world. But more often being the good girl who does what she's told, who takes it, who tries to avoid it as much as she can, who feels so disempowered in what is supposed to be the most empowering area of being an embodied female, and who has therefore off-kilter relationships with men. Okay, we don't need that in the world. So, for the first time ever, it's been a long time coming, ladies. It's been a long time coming. I've had people basically beg me for this, and I've just kept putting them off. And I apologize. The structure, the framework, the awareness of how this could be done well had not yet come to me. And now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so before I reveal that framework and what that looks like, I want to make sure that I've seen comments. Okay, I love you, Cherie, so much. So shy, I would cry if someone talked to me and bury my face in my mom. I was like 12, right? Exactly. We have these incredible growth trajectories that we go on through our lives, and we have the opportunity to either stall out or to keep climbing. You can use the word climbing if you want. I don't necessarily love the energy of that. It feels like I have to work very hard. But just expanding, allowing. The more I have gotten out of task-oriented, any kind of push, and into, it's almost like, how much more air can I take in my lungs? How much more can I even just sit in the energy? How much more can I allow myself to experience myself in this way and not stop it and not run and not get scared and not squish it and not allow other people to try to squish it, right? How much bigger can it get? And it's, of course, way beyond me. It is very much the identity of a woman who is healed and empowered. She's done the internal work and she's activated in the external world. That's the bombshell. And this that we're about to go through now is the Bombshell Alliance. So for those of you who have been wondering and asking, how do can I do something like this? Can I tell other people about your courses? Can I kind of learn to do what you do, right? I've been very cautious, right? Because this is very important work, okay? I mean, for some people it looks light and fluffy, but when you have done it, your mind is blown by how critical it is, the massive difference it makes in your life, the massive positive differences it makes in the relationships you have with the people around you, whether business or personal or friendly or romantic. And you also start to recognize how many people have not done the work, okay? How many people have would very much benefit from deep diving into this kind of total internal transformation. And when you meet someone who's done the internal transformation, you just want to hand them money and say, please go change the world because we need people like you front and center. But they often don't have the framework, they don't have the confidence, they don't have the strategies, they don't have the support, right? They don't have the network to be able to do that. And so they just remain, and which is fine if that's what someone really wants. That's totally fine. They can influence their own smaller circle, right? But for the women who are called to lead and are healed, we need you. We need you, okay? And if you feel like, I think that's me, but I'm not sure that it's all fully developed enough, I don't really know what I'm doing, I don't really know what next step to take, so just like you've been saying, Jackie, because I know this is true because I watch it, okay? I've been bouncing around between coaches and between frameworks and between promises, and this person helps me with this, and this person helps me with this, and I kind of get a little bit of this personal development stuff over here, and then I pair it with that, and I mean, it's like, that sounds nightmarish to me. That just sounds miserable. Right? I like ease, I like efficiency, I like elegance, I like cutting through crap ferociously so that I can then enjoy my life in the ways that I know actually work, okay? So with that in mind, for those of you who have been asking, Jackie, how do I build a business that is like yours? I would love to be time and location independent. I would love to be in charge of my own schedule, or maybe if this is going to be on the side of something else that you're doing, I would love to have the added flexibility of extra income. I would love to have a sense that I'm truly making a permanent difference in the lives of hundreds of women, thousands of women even, depends on how big you want to take this, right? I would love to know that what I'm teaching them has already been proven to work, right? Versus I'm just getting into this kind of coaching thing, maybe you might be thinking, and I'm not really quite sure how it works or what to do, or, if I tell them this, oh my gosh, is that the wrong thing to say? Versus something that has been proven over years and years and years and keeps getting extraordinary results for women from all walks of life. Yes? But it's also personalized. You're not just sending a friend to my website. This is going to be yours, and this is how it's done, okay? So the first step that I'm kind of already diving into is having a sense of calling toward this. Okay? So the women who gravitate toward me are really, not that I'm biased, I am biased, but they're extraordinary women, right? The women who are here on earth to collect a man like he's some kind of asset and find their way into a comfortable, maybe even luxurious life, pretty much whatever means necessary, not even necessarily with integrity. Those kinds of women, they just don't like me that much, right? We'll have a conversation at a party or something and it's fine, but they're not going to want to, unless they feel something internally that is shifting and they want more. They want a deeper alignment with their integrity and their identity. The women who are drawn to me are the women who want to change the world. The women who are drawn to me are the women who want to change the world, and they're so sweet that they wonder if they're going to be able to, right? It's a combination of humility and desire, but it's like the pull won't go away. Sometimes their belief wavers, right? Sometimes these doubts creep in. Sometimes external doubters help them feed those doubts, which is not helpful. But they still have this sense of, I know I'm here for something. And even if I'm not necessarily quote unquote here for something, I just want to help. And I'm not sure I have what I have to offer, right? They don't see it yet, but they feel the calling. Okay? Totally understandable. And it happens just so frequently. And sometimes women will come to me to solve a particular problem, right? This again happens a lot in intimacy. And once they experience, right, just like in the beginning, moving from doubt to the realization that something is possible, then they feel the calling to help because they recognize the dream is real, right? The new reality is true. This alternative planet that women can live on instead of the broken beliefs one actually exists. And not only are they happy now being there, but they want to bring other women with them, right? So the call can come after you've had your own transformation, or the call can come just generally, right? You go through the world, you see people hurting and having this just unnecessary suffering, and you want to be of service. Okay? So you feel the call. The second thing that is exactly where they end up after realizing they want to help, but they're not sure if they have, like, what could they offer? Jackie, what could that look like? I mean, like, do I start my own? Like, do I make a course, or like, do I just go start coaching? Like, what do I do? The next thing you do is you master, not business and coaching skills yet, okay? That's coming in a second. The next thing you do is you master your healing in these areas. Okay? You master it. Doesn't mean perfection. Please don't misunderstand. Mastery and perfection are different things. Okay? But to me, the number one job I have as a coach, as a mentor, as a writer, as a speaker, as a trainer, in anything is maintaining my own internal health. And I frustrate people sometimes because I maintain very strict boundaries so that I have the time, the downtime, the resources to be able to maintain exactly what it is in me that they want. Like legit, you know what I mean? So sometimes I have to remind them that, what you want me to teach, this is how I stay that thing. You know what I mean? So there's not just words coming out of my mouth or some, to-do list, task list that I start shoving out to people. It absolutely, and to me, this is a matter of integrity before God, but if you want to see it from a business strategic standpoint, you can do that too. To me, this is how I want to live my life. This is who God has called me to be. Oh, and it happens to be walking my talk as far as what I teach in my business, right? How I coach women. So the number one responsibility, and the women who I work with, these coaches who, again, are working in different areas, unfortunately, because I think they'd be amazing in this kind of area. But their number one priority is their own alignment, their own well-being, their own balance, their own, am I good? Am I the woman who I want to be and who my clients are trying to become more like themselves, right? That's job one. Okay. And just as I went through before, for the exact reason I went through before, and other reasons too, but that's a core one, we go in this order. Okay. It always begins with body. I was talking to a woman just the other day who is working through breakthroughs in the way she perceives intimacy, right? Even as a subject. And she had a breakthrough around returning to care here in a very specific way. I mean, we were just like shouting with joy on the phone because I was, again, like these frameworks work so well, it shocks me. Okay. I'm like, dang, it was only been a couple of weeks we've been together, and like, look at what's happened. Yes. Because of the order in which we go, and because of the way that I teach women to conceive of themselves, of the feminine, and of God, and of life, and of people. But anyway, first starting with themselves. Okay. So you will master your body. I will give you you will have my entire course on it. The entire course that I've taught, it's 10 weeks of content. It's the most comprehensive course on body care I've ever seen. Because again, I see the little 30-day bikini bootcamp plan, right? Like, this is completely transforming your theology, your mindset, your emotionals. We're dealing with trauma. We're dealing with, daily routine, we're dealing with meal planning, or how I like to do it, because I don't like meal planning. I like intuitive eating. But there are certain things you have to do in order to become an intuitive eater that I don't see being taught out there, or it won't work. And then you'll beat yourself up, which keeps you in that cycle, right? Where the body care doesn't seem to be working. Therefore, you feel unattractive. Therefore, you resent intimacy. Therefore, you avoid or are angry at men, like that, right? So you're going to master the upward spiral and pull out of any downward spiral by walking specifically through the Bombshell frameworks in exactly these areas. You will have access to these courses for life. You will have the ability, which we're going to get to in a moment, to teach from them, to sell them yourself, to add your branding, which I will lead you through creating and work through with you. We will do your photo shoots. We will do your websites. All of this will be handed to you, and it will be a combination of your special sauce with the frameworks that I have taught so successfully for almost a decade now. Okay, but first you must master it yourself. I will not send any woman out as a messenger, if you will, of this philosophy and this way of transforming women who has not done the work. Okay, which again doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you have to somehow become superwoman before you're allowed to be of service. Not in the least. It simply means I refuse to ignore this incredibly important side of feminine success, right? I am not going to give you a nuts and bolts business plan that is like, go forth on the internet and try to convince people to buy from you. You will embody the bombshell for yourself and for God and for whatever man you're with and for your children, like whatever situation you find yourself in. This matters for you, okay? And it is the secret weapon in business. It absolutely is, because you will actually be who you say you are in a world of people who are flashing around numbers and stats and are inches away from their next burnout. Yes? Okay? Okay. So calling, you feel it. Mastery, you become it. Next. Next is service, which is going to feel so darn good. Okay? I love this whiteboard. This may just come with me all the time now. Once you've mastered it, you won't even be able to contain yourself, okay? You'll be spreading it without trying. You'll be talking. There's so many women in my courses, they're like, I went to brunch with my girlfriends, and usually we talk about blah, blah, blah. But since I've been in your course, I've been telling them all about blah, 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 right? I mean, and everyone's mind is being blown. Okay? These will now be your courses. This will be an area you have mastered. And then to build your confidence, to get you familiar with the frameworks, with the process, which is very individualized when you're working one-on-one with people or in a group setting, where you're feeling the energies of someone's story. And there's certain things that I have never even written down, but I know in my head. And for you guys, it will become a part of this framework that will be extensively written out and explained to you and taught, is how to not just feel, because that can feel a little bit scary. Like, what if I can't sense it? What if I'm off? There are ways to feel it and to ask, to check in. It's very, very much in alignment with, I told you I was going to be blunt today, with the way that, I mean, should I just go there? Can you guys handle this? Can we just handle this? That an excellent male lover is in bed. Okay. It's like, and I talked lightly about this in my event last week, where you're leading someone through the steps of permission, consent, openness. You're checking in. Like, of course a man can't read a woman's mind. You can't read her body. Like, like you can take educated guesses, but there's a way of feeling where a woman is. And when you need clarity, asking, but asking in a way that's not forceful, that's not pushy, that doesn't try to make her feel like she needs to give an answer or a certain answer. It's just totally open, and she feels completely safe, which is how healing happens so much faster. But there's actually also, it's almost like an assessment that you as a coach are able to do. It will be an assessment, really, that you're able to do on a client who you're working with, okay? And I'm going to tell you when and how you'll be working with people in a moment. But I teach every area that I coach in, all of these areas, body, beauty, intimacy, men, money, mission, in an extremely comprehensive way, okay? and women can even feel it when they're on initial consultation calls with me, where we're technically talking about intimacy, but I'm asking about upbringing, I'm asking about health, I'm asking about her thoughts of her appearance, I'm asking about the rest of her relationship, I'm asking about the career situation. I'm asking about everything. And from that, I get this complete picture where I start to click in the different pieces of what I know, therefore, is happening that she's not seeing that's influencing this. You're going to be able to do the exact same thing. And even the transformation a woman has just being heard and seen and asked questions in that way, I hear feedback all the time, is one of the most healing and life-changing experiences sometimes that she has ever had. That someone cares, that someone listens, that someone's not judging. And then, because that's nice, but then that there's a framework to realign her to a path that actually works. Okay. So in service, you're going to become able to coach women in this way. Okay. And I'm going to show you the different ways that you can do it. You can run events, you can do one-on-one, you can do group. I am going to give you the panoply of online business options through which you can help other women with these frameworks. Okay. And as you practice, which will not be very difficult, because once you master, coaching actually comes quite easily. I know people like to disagree with that. I say, where's your mastery? You know what I mean? If you know a topic, a subject, an area so well, and you've had your own transformation that has gone so deep, you didn't just read a book, skim through a couple things, you went in and did the work, which is mastery. That's why it comes first. You're then escorting another woman through a process you know like the back of your hand. And it's gorgeous, okay? However, to really grow, right? Because how many of you have done some kind of money mindset workshop or something that didn't actually lead to any actual money? It just led to you being more okay with the concept of making it. We're going to talk about business, okay? I have learned a lot over the years, my friends, like a lot. I've learned what to do. I have learned what not to do. And now it's funny because I'll go on the internet and I'll see ads and various business coaches are out there saying, do it this way, do it that way, come to my training, do my framework. And I'll be like, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Part of that works. Half of that works. That would work if you did it like this or that right there. Yes, secret sauce. They're on it. They know what's up. Okay. So I have spent lots of time, wasting time, trying to build a business in ways that don't work. And so when I work with women in the business coaching, which I have done individually, we cut through a lot of crap very, very quickly about things that are highly praised or that make you feel good that don't actually turn into tangible results, either an income or an impact on your clients. Okay. So the business structure is going to be built in, because when you are part of this, you will have the website structures already set up, the courses in there after you've gone through them yourself, set up in a way where you will actually be able to sell them to other people, okay? Where the branding is already included, and then we're going to be adding your complete rebranded makeover to it to make it yours. I'm going to show you exactly how to bring in clients, exactly how to market, all the ways that won't work. And the most extraordinary thing is that this is not me working with you all in silos. I call this the Alliance for a reason. This is a network. This is a community. This is a mastermind of women who are on the same mission, who are not competitive, who are not looking at, winning in any way. This is the awareness which you will have after mastery that the harvest is massive and the laborers are few. Okay. I love it when women want to go out and spread my stuff because of my life balance, desire, and necessity. I refuse to work myself to the bone, quite frankly, and therefore I need more people. The world needs more people spreading this information. Women who are authentic, yes, who are embodied, who are not just like handing out pamphlets of something they haven't actually mastered themselves, but who are that woman, who people can feel are that woman. And they're teaching it from that standpoint. Okay, so it's like we need an army of women doing this. We need just women all over the world. As I start to talk to women who are interested in this already, which is so exciting, they're in different cities, they're in different places. And I just think, wow, imagine if this kind of total transformational, internal, external, feminine freedom health began in that area and grew. What if it began over there and grew? And when they need someone to call, they have this incredible network, not just of each other, but of all of the coaches, all of the marketing experts, the unbelievable connections that I've created over the years that speed things up like this. Yes, an income, most importantly, an impact. If you do impact well, income is not going to be a problem. If you are out of sync, yes, impact will struggle, or impact won't result in income, or income won't result in impact. That's all ugly. I don't want to go there. I like both. Yes. And if you're here, you probably like both too. Okay. So one of the most important things I have learned over the last few years since my burnout days in academia, where I just totally believed the thing, right? Do more stuff. Okay. Avoid, chop off, ignore total areas of your life to get a result. Yes. Yuck. Who, not how, has been one of the most valuable lessons I have learned over the last few years. That the speed of impact, the speed of growth, the speed of income is determined by who you're connected with, by the rooms that you're in, by the people you pair yourself with, the people you partner yourself with, especially in business and in other areas of life, let's be clear, but especially in business, right? Women find these things. And it pains me to see women either in a competitive mindset. That's destructive, right? What a way to zap your energy and your resources. Or to find themselves without allies, feeling like they're really doing it alone, trying to figure it out alone, or maybe they have one coach or they have one call with a month, but in between it's just like this vast desert and they have no idea what to do, right? And no access to guidance and friendship and support and community and camaraderie around that. It pains me when women get out of balance, like I've said this whole time. It's so important, with the other areas of their life, because there is this fear, pressure, stress mindset around only the business piece, and no one is also holding them in. But how are you in your body this week? How are you feeling in your confidence, in your feminine appearance, in your attractiveness, even just when you're by yourself? How was your intimate life this week? Can you imagine a business coach asking you that? Be like, excuse me, right? Yes, unless you don't want to go there. Because I don't force, but I find that as women feel safe and open and they recognize the connection parts of these areas, they recognize that the more they expand in one, the more the others take off. Yes? How are you doing in your relationships? If you're single, how is the dating going? Right? If you're in a relationship, how do you feel in that? All of it. Okay? How are you feeling around the concept of building wealth, of building success? And, are your structures actually working? Yes? I mean, imagine having that kind of comprehensive support weekly. I mean, forever, basically. But even just imagine it for a year, like just to give us a sense of something we can wrap our heads around. Can you imagine the transformation online, offline, in all of these areas of feminine mastery, and in a business that is practically in a box handed to you, and yet that you have the freedom and the permission to play with and expand in the way that suits you best? But I have one more thing for you. And this is my secret weapon. I mean, I have a lot of secret weapons. I think I've said that word several times because I've just done so much watching, you guys, so much watching of what's out there and what isn't working. It's not working. I don't want a fly by night, push me through the numbers kind of business coach who then like posts 3 years later that everything is broken down. She's in the hospital and she has no sense of self and she's now going on a sabbatical to find her spiritual journey. Like, that's cool. Respect, like, to each their own, but I don't want that. I want a woman who is already mastered in her feminine self and has activated the external ability to change the world through an online platform, which generates impact and income. Yes? And I have done that. And now I'm handing it on a platter to you. But here's the final piece that women don't know is coming. Okay? And I don't freak out, okay? Because in the same way that when women work with me around attractiveness and dating, and sometimes subconsciously they know this, and it's actually why they avoid it. And so we do the healing work around the beliefs. But many times women will say, I feel so attractive or whatever. Like my appearance has changed, but now I'm getting so much attention. And it's kind of scary. Right. Or like there's so, I know that some of you are like, I don't have that problem and I wish I had that problem, but there are so many men that I don't know what to do with them all, frankly. And I have to like kind of figure out what to say to who and how to pick and how to sort, right? There's problems after the first success that you don't yet see coming. And they're fine problems. I can help you solve those too, because mastery means I've walked through these areas for many, many, many years, right? I don't want you to be worried, because there's already a solution, not only to the problem you feel maybe now, but to the problems you don't even see coming. And when you're building an online business, the problem that most women don't see coming is, what do you do when the money starts coming in? Right? What do you do as like income starts to grow and you're in a different tax bracket all of a sudden? And what does that mean, right? And then, well, I mean, should I just keep throwing everything that I'm making back into my business? A lot of people will tell you to do that, right? Or should I actually profit from it first and pull out some and maybe like invest with it? And you know what I mean? It's a whole new world when women have money. And just like I said at the beginning, sometimes women who are very successful in that area, not always, please understand, right? But sometimes, and I think too frequently, women who start to succeed with the numbers start to get weaker in the feminine core essence, power, energy that makes everybody just want to be around her no matter what she's doing or where she goes. Yeah? So, what if that area was completely handled for you too? Yes, you're engaged in it. Yes, you're in control. Yes, you're the boss. But you also have someone who is so extraordinarily talented and experienced at things that I personally don't even like, still can't fully wrap my head around. Right? Like, they just, terms that I'm like, what is that? I'm going to give you, in addition, okay, so let's just pause before I blow up like the whole game here with this last secret weapon. In addition, okay, you felt the calling. You are ready to be led into mastery. You're going to have everything I've ever created on all of these topics, not only at your disposal for your own personal mastery with my one-on-one coaching you through them, which has never been offered in any of these courses, okay? My time is very valuable because I like my life, right? And I keep a very strict life balance. So all of this, not only for yourself with my one-on-one walking you through it, but then on a platter, done for you, websites handed to you, branding that feels like the final, like just exhilarating expression of your soul, personalized to you, to actually serve women with and then grow into a highly profitable, highly pleasurable business. I like both, okay? Then, when the income starts to come in and you're so busy enjoying your life that you're sitting by the pool watching new clients come in on your phone, which, I mean, it's mostly for me, they happen when I'm napping. I should take more naps, right? It's just beautiful. But what about when it really starts to grow? And sometimes women then freak out a little bit and it gets a little rocky because it's like, I'm not quite sure what to do with it. You know, like what do I, where do I put it? What do I do? And then they start focusing so much on that either the business starts to fail a little bit, their personal well-being starts to fail a little bit. Yes? What if you had an expert that could walk you through it for you? Yes? Let me see if he is still on screen. Sunny, my friend. Are you there? Yes. And let's see if I can make both of us on here. That's you. Is it me as well? There we go. All of the buttons.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. So Sunny, give me a little bit of your thoughts from the male perspective on everything I've shared so far.
I think it's wonderful. You know, I love that framework and everything that you're doing to help women be bombshell babe, you know, getting all this going and in essence being more spiritual on who you are and then spreading it to there and then wealth.
Yeah.
as your business, helping others, and then moving towards, one thing that, a lot of times men are controlling, but they
Yes.
shouldn't be because, they take more risk.
Yes.
Women usually are more conservative with all that. So I love it. Yeah. I mean, like a story about women. I mean, like my mother had a grandmother and went on her deathbed when she was 43 years old, didn't, you know, could not afford to eat meat,
Mm.
but she wanted to have meat on her deathbed and we just couldn't afford it because we were too poor. And she died that way. Okay. So my mother, it burned in her soul. And she was like, that's never going to happen to our family. And she was a nun and she wanted to be a nun. And then after grandma died, um, my grandfather told her that, hey, you need to get married to a rich family. So not having the means, not having the money, guess what happens? In the culture, they just kind of push her off. And she's like, gosh, okay. But then she didn't want things to happen to her to that way. So then she had a son, which was me. And she didn't want me to serve in the communist army at the time because those communists, when the United States pulled out of that war, it was in Vietnam. Um, the northern or the communists, they came down and they actually slaughtered a lot of the males. That's why Vietnam has a lot more females than males because they didn't want another civil war. So that was what happened. She's like, these people killed my family, my uncles, and all these other people. I don't want my son to do this. So she arranged with cousins and stuff to get on a boat. We were going to Indonesia. It was like 5 days at sea where, there were pirates, people get robbed, pillaged, raped, all that other stuff because literally there's pirates in the sea.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to escape this thing of people being jailed and all that. And what happened was like, because she took it onto her own hands, like, hey, we're leaving. It was just me and mom. My
Wow.
father already was, he left a different way, you know, and it was really interesting. And she went through all that. And she's the strongest person I know that helped me think about entrepreneurship and all these other things. She actually opened up her own liquor store, did all these wonderful things, and taught me how to be an entrepreneur and
Wow.
about money, you know. And I can just tell you, like, women are the strongest people in my family. My mom is the one that held the household together.
Mm.
My father drank a lot, gambled a lot, took away all the savings and stuff, but she controlled it, hid it from him. So like that, we were able to buy a house even. So it really does connect with me and what you're talking about. Yes, I know very strong women in my
Yeah.
life. And I feel that, yes, women are more nurturing, guys are more logical, women are more emotional. That emotion is a critical factor that
Yes.
controls people. Just like a lot of times people say, facts tell, from our mentor, Russell Brunson,
Yep.
stories tell, because it's the emotional part of the brain that really makes decisions. It's not like I'm going to think math and algorithms to you, and then we're like, oh, algorithms
Yeah.
and wealth. Oh yeah, let's talk about it. No, what is it that money can do for you? You know, and money.
True. And I think
Yeah,
it's so important, Sonny, but I think that sometimes women in their emotionalness, which is such a gift, and when used rightly as a power tool, doubt themselves perhaps a little bit more than men do with money, right? It feels like it's a little too logical. Maybe we can't go there. It's a little too fact-based. What if I can't handle it? It's like, what if I can't succeed in that realm? So to me, women either sometimes they get into it with curiosity, but I think much like your mother, sometimes there's just this breaking point of, I must do this thing. I must master something that I know is going to allow me to change my life, to change other women's lives, to change children's lives, to change men's lives, change the world. And I'm teaching with beginning to be by being the whole healed feminine woman as you do that. But this second piece is critical. So do you see like a lack of confidence with money with women, and when you see women, especially business owners, start to generate income and maybe like freak out and not know what to do with it, what do you tell them? Like what are the things that you can lead them to that maybe they didn't even know were possible and certainly felt were beyond their scope?
wow. You just went over a lot of topics right there. So I guess I'm going to have to help unpack some of this.
Go for it,
So
Sonny.
the first step was about confidence. Okay, women control the world with a lot of different things, and the confidence comes from like either people are moving towards pleasure or away from pain. Okay.
Yes.
But women have the highest pain threshold. It's already proven.
True.
You all give birth, you know? So like that, you can
Totally
birth a child,
done
bring
it.
life into the world. those are really strong things. So from that pain tolerance already being designed that way, you can absorb a lot of pain,
Yeah.
from different people in life. And then you don't have that confidence, but that confidence is there. It's already been instilled from you. And if you want to get biblical,
Mm.
obviously God talked to everyone, but who told Adam to do that? Who persuaded him to do the thing? So who had the power? Was it Eve or was it Adam? Who was
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm gonna
Good
do it,
point.
it was Eve, right? And Eve, when
Yeah.
you go to its form, is in the roots, it's birth, life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what you're thinking about. Okay, so that high pain tolerance. You don't have to ask for anyone's forgiveness or anything. There's only two opinions, people that matter: God and your own when you look in the mirror. So when you
That's
don't
right.
have that confidence and you're not thinking about, hey, how great everything and how great you are, you're listening to the enemy within.
Yeah.
And these thoughts that you're having, they're not your thoughts. Your
Mhm.
grandma had it, your mother had it, your great great grandmother had it. It's
That's good.
already been there. You're just receiving it in the world through different like frequencies and modalities. They're words, they're there.
Yeah.
So how can we shift that mindset?
Yeah.
You're
So
all
fears
powerful.
around money are bogus, basically, is the punchline of that part.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, false.
Money in its most ancient form is cooperation. That's all it is.
Mhm.
My family was vegetable people. That's why we didn't eat meat, because we knew on a farm you eat what you could create. But I guess grandma didn't do a deal with someone that would raise cows or something. I
Yeah.
don't know why that was a thing, but most of Vietnam was farmers. So that's the deal with that. So you think about it, that's just cooperation. And it became more efficient over time. That's why the Chinese did the silk trade. Oh, I give
Mhm.
you this beautiful silk thing. What do you got to give me? And
Mhm.
how they trade it was through currency, coins, gold,
Mhm.
and that became more efficient. Just like someone that does McDonald's right now, they're giving people food, but they're making minimum wage, while a surgeon is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year because they save people's lives and the hospital bills, maybe even millions.
Yeah.
That's what the value is. So what I'm saying, that money in its cooperation, is we're devaluing, not valuing ourselves, because women, out of love and emotion, care for the children. You want
Quality.
our children to always be great, so they're at home nurturing them, while males are going out. I guess caveman days are hunting, catching animals and stuff like that. And now during these days, they're out earning money and cooperation, really. But
Yeah.
the women has a lot of value, because if she's not there, you got to send the kids to daycare and all this other stuff. And are they going to raise the children as much or as good as the mom that loves them? No,
Yeah.
So think of it
Maybe.
that
Yeah.
way.
There's so many exceptions, and people find kind of exactly the balance that works for them. But what I'm hearing you say is that cooperation is all that money is. And so there's no need to be afraid of cooperating. And largely because women are phenomenally good. So a lot of it is, again, breaking inaccurate beliefs around just what something is or isn't. And money is not, it's not a war, is really maybe the mindset that women need to get out of. It's this energetic collaboration that you can step into. And when you think of it that way, a lot of the fears can dissipate. That's been a huge breakthrough for me. I had definitely different perceptions. And so thank you, because that certainly came largely from you. So, okay, confidence, not being afraid of this area. What kind of things can women actually achieve? And especially entrepreneurs who start to generate income that maybe they didn't have before. And it's like, a lot of times that's the ceiling for women in their minds. Like, wow, if I could just make money through a business, like that'd be cool. And then they get there, and one, hello taxes, and two, it's like, oh, there's more beyond this. And so the strategies and the awareness of the growth potential. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So in regards to like growth potential, money is just cooperation again. We're in the age of partnerships. Right now, as we talk about marketing, it's all connected. Who do we partner with? Facebook. And when you do stuff on Instagram, who you partner with? Facebook, because they own Instagram.
So true.
And then the other one's like, do you have a Gmail? Gmail? Well, that's Google. Oh, do you do YouTube? That's Google. So
Yeah.
we're in the age of partnerships. And Amazon is the other one that you can buy goods cheaper without employees, because
Yeah.
they're done the whole shipping thing when they start off as a bookstore. So
Yeah.
how money and wealth is connected is just more cooperation. And what you talked about earlier, it's the who, not the how. Why do you want to spend a decade? Because it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert in something.
Yeah.
How do you work together? And that's the thing that women are actually phenomenal with. Because earlier you're saying, oh, war? Well, you know what? Create a war? Men, back in the day, what would men do if they wanted a woman? They'll bop them on the head with a club or something. we're not in the prehistoric days no more,
Thank you,
okay?
Lord. Yes.
You know, so it's not like that. So now what that means is that, hey, men are still doing war. Ego, that's one thing that men's like, hey, I got more money than you, I'm doing this. Women aren't like that. They're more collaborative, but they picked up that mannerism from people they spend a lot of time with. You know, when you spend so much time with someone, you kind of become the other person, and
Yeah.
that's something that happens too. So as one Mikani said, women in their own power, they influence men
Yes.
by many degrees, which you know, like me on a poker table, I play poker. I'm very good with numbers and stuff. I usually beat most people and stuff because it's like, think of math and thing. But when one there, she smiles, she's like doing whatever. It's like, now my defenses come down, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh man,
She's
you know,
good.
it's kind of like, oh, I'm not that good. They're really good, but they're not just telling you the truth. And it's like, I don't know, because men are, as you know, we can't read minds, and we're like, women are better at that, you know, and
Yeah.
communication. And you know, I mean, you talked about something about that's the second highest level of value. And man, you know, they're not a thing, but they can be easily influenced. But we have to use that instead of like the physicality of stuff where men use bopping people in the head and fighting and war and stuff. That's usually men kind of thing, you know?
I think women have things that we can teach men. There's no doubt. And
Yeah.
I think that as we step into power in a healed way, because what I don't like is the warring of men and women.
Hmm.
Men who are mad at women, women who are mad at men, and they take it out on each other based on whatever their individual personality type is. But instead, collaboration even between male and female, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited that you're going to be helping these women. So when a woman's coming in, this is the Bombshell Alliance certification coaching program, and they're building their own business using the frameworks, selling the courses that I've already created, tested, proven that people are getting phenomenal results from after having mastered individually themselves. Then let's say we get them to, you know, a six-figure year, which is, it sounds like a big dream for people, but when you have the right frameworks, that's like nothing. That's like, and I'm not, you know, dismissing it anyway. It's a great achievement, but we're working with frameworks where people are making like, you know, 10 million a year, 50 million a year. Like there's incredible possibility when you have the correct business frameworks in place. Then what, Sonny? You know what I mean? Like for a woman to even just be like, I could like retire my husband. I could, you know, be changing the world, living an incredibly beautifully balanced lifestyle, and be generating great revenue that I feel amazing. Like, wow. But what I like even more is as these women begin to understand the potential to still be doing that, and then take the wealth that's coming in and being created and turn it almost on an autopilot to grow itself and to begin to invest and to begin to like, and that's when I think women shift from, honestly, Sunny, I think even in the business and entrepreneur world for women, there's still, okay, I just thought of this. There's still an employee mindset. There's still a dollars for, like, even if they're selling courses, even if they've scaled, even if it's all on passive income autopilot, there's still this concept that I have seen of like the money comes in, the money goes out, the money comes in, the money goes out. It's more money coming in and more money going out. You know what I mean? Versus when women shift into the power seat that I think men have been happily kind of cozily, you know, nice and comfy in for a while, of investors who are growing wealth at the same time they're over here generating again even more new income. That's when I see women, I mean, I see their energy shift for sure, and I also see their ability to impact the world just change dramatically. And you know what I've just also thought of, do you know how ClickFunnels has that award, which is actually in my mind the most impressive, Liberate and Educate? Yes, where you have to have given $1 million to a charity. Everybody's focused on, you know, $1 million making it. To me, oh, the ultimate flex is giving away $1 million. And I'll have to revisit the list of who's done that. It is smaller, but I think that almost everyone on there is or includes a female. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that that list holds a lot more feminine energy than the list of I made $1 million, I made $1 million, I made $1 million. And women, when we get into the position where there's not just money coming in, but there's money that's coming in, it's being put over here, and it's being well managed to grow itself like a plant, a healthy plant or a child. And it's like it's doing its own thing, and you're still generating even more over here. And meanwhile, you're enjoying your life because you do it in the framework that I teach. Like that's when we become unstoppable, major powerhouses, world changers. And I find that women who have established big time wealth tend to be big time givers. I don't know if that's just the feminine heart to, you know, help children or help whatever. But I've noticed that. I've definitely noticed that. So just pump us up about what is possible for women when we reach not just the stage of I've got a successful business, but I've got a successful business and I'm a successful wealth builder, because that's where the women who are entering this alliance are headed.
So I think the easiest story to connect with that is Jamie Lee Currens. Okay.
Yeah.
She's someone that sold makeup and she never had a big break. The company document and she's leading everything. Her husband follows the drum of her beat, but she
Yep.
retired him. And what she did, she's one of the people that actually they said no. And an executive at QVC, they were like, if I remember this correctly, was like, hey, we don't want to buy, or before QVC, was like, hey, we don't want to buy your makeup brand because you don't represent the consumers.
Mm,
And basically, he was saying that you're big,
yeah.
you're fat, you're not the normal person that buys
Mhm.
all this makeup. It's like,
So
gosh,
inaccurate.
go ahead. She's like, no. And it almost
Yes.
destroyed her. She was going to quit and everything. But you know what? She got up. So in
Yeah.
life, it's not that you fall, because you will fall, but it's how you get up. And she got up.
Yes.
It's like, I'm going to show him he's not going to invest in my company and do all these other things and stuff like that. So she actually took it upon herself and she presented to QVC, but it was a woman executive that gave her the chance. And eventually she sold her company to, I think it was Revlon, for $1 billion.
Wow.
1 billion. You know how
Wow.
many zeros, how many millions go in a billion?
Don't actually, off the top of my head. Quite a few.
1,000,000,000. Okay. It's
Wow.
like, oh, a lot of millions. I was like, yeah, it is. That's 1 billion. So when you think about it, then it's 1,000 millionaire or a billion, which is the other metric. Not even a male can sell for something like that. But
Yeah.
she did it. But it's through her grit, going through things. And another person at QVC, I think is Lori Mini. She did it that way because you know what? That's the right demographic. Who understands a woman than a woman? That's why
Yeah.
men don't sell all this stuff on QVC. The
Yes.
only
Who
like
does the
famous, I guess,
shopping?
car person.
The
Yeah,
women.
that's
I
right.
know.
You got it. You
Yeah.
understand each other. It's not the ShamWow guy. All you sell is a towel, but a lot of people
Yeah.
know him in marketing. But you kind of see what I'm saying? It's like, who else
Absolutely.
is going to help a woman but a woman?
Yeah.
Like the best and the most. And what do they do well? Well, she gives a lot of money to charity. She doesn't need like money or anything. Obviously, $1 billion is a lot of money. But what she does is she connects with more people so we can work more together to help causes, to help
Yeah.
people, to help
Yes.
her before she made it. And that's what women can
Exactly.
do, help
Yeah.
other ones. And one of the
Yeah.
biggest companies that everyone knows, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, did you know the CEO was a woman for a
I
long
didn't.
time?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's dang, now I'm kind of losing the name. But she was the one that worked with PayPal and eBay,
Mm,
and she became CEO of Facebook, and she just left recently. Sheldon Sandenberg, I believe. I gotta look it up. Now I'm just
yeah.
throwing different things. That's a powerful woman.
Yeah.
And even took over Zuckerberg. Everyone talked about Zuckerberg, but he wasn't CEO in the last few years. It was her that helped actually grow the company. When Mark Zuckerberg took the company public, did you know that Facebook stock went down? They didn't make a bunch of
No.
money. They
Interesting.
lost money. A lot of people sold. It was like, this thing's terrible. They know how to do all the social media stuff, but they don't know how to make money. Well,
Mm,
guess kind of who helped to really lead them the way?
yeah.
There's a female CEO.
There is something about female intuition
Mhm.
that is a secret weapon, I think, in business that is often underestimated. And I think throughout history, even though we've seen men running businesses, et cetera, there's almost always a woman who's an advisor, and even if it's his wife or whatever, maybe she wasn't at that time given public praise for her role. But usually, when someone is an absolute sniper, if you will, with business decisions and knowing the brilliant next move, or seeing the 30,000-foot view of the forest instead of the trees, and knowing the direction to take it, even if everybody's like, but the next strategy that everyone uses is always this one, and she can feel, but it's this for us.
Mhm.
It's so often female. And so when I see that, I love that. I love that so much. And thank you so much for sharing that, because how fired up, ladies, can we get? But I also am absolutely adamant that we maintain the core of our total life well-being. And in part, Sunny, because I think that at some core level, sometimes women are panicked a little bit around, if I achieve at that level, am I almost going to become a bad person, or am I going to stop caring about people? But when you're healed in your core, that's not what happens. That's just not what happens. You start to become these people who are giving away millions of dollars. Like your identity is so grounded that the numbers just become playthings, you know, and not in a sense of like carelessness or, you know, like just gambling with life, but in a sense of like, that's just not the core of why we're here. It's a resource. Let's do it here. Let's do it here. And what I love that you just said about Jamie specifically, and I know so many women who have become successful resonate with this and do this, I see it all the time, is they return, once they've made kind of monetary success, they return to what we would call the avatar, the person who they used to be, right? Like I already know in my mind the type of woman I want to help, right? I'm very clear on it. And they're passionate about giving her what they needed, or maybe what they found through some other means to get started, right? They can't guarantee what she's going to do with it, but they want to hand it to her so that she at least has a chance. And to me, when I look at this model that has been created, that's exactly what women are able to do is once they master it, by going into service, they're returning to teach the woman who's stuck in the way she thinks about and cares for her body, for her appearance, and intimate matters with men, with money, with a sense of purpose and mission. And they're handing her the key that they have received themselves so that she can begin her journey. It's a built-in cycle of influence, impact, and income. It's just magnificent. So I think, you know, the other thing that you kind of touched on earlier and that I would love to wrap on, because I think that this is like the most powerful way to end this for people, is that there are people who, I talked at the beginning about women who have doubts and that kind of thing. And then there are people who maybe are kind of curious. And then there are women who know, it's really that sense of calling, that this is now, that it is time, right? So, you know, the people who are kind of just curious, and that's awesome. I've been there, and it's like there are seasons for different things. But the women who make, frankly, the biggest difference, the women who make the biggest difference are the women who make the biggest moves. And the women who make the biggest moves are the women who are moved by life into a place of, it's now or never. I'm in. Let's do this. I'm going to make the decision. I don't know what's necessarily going to come of it, but I'm going to trust that call that feels like something is a yes, that feels like my next level is now. I don't even know what this is going to turn into, but I know that I'm being called, pulled, pushed, Holy Spirit led to take the next step. And that is how everything that I've done and the friends that we have, like Eileen, like everything comes from this yes that feels aligned. And then the things that can come from that, and impact and income and transformation for yourself, for others, is literally beyond the scope of your current ability to comprehend. If I told you, it would feel like I'm joking, right? And yet we see it all the time now, Sunny. It's real. It's there. And I want to make sure that as you grow into that, one, you have a framework that works, and two, you are so self-mastered that your core integrity and well-being is never shaken, ever. And I can't think of anything more powerful than handing you this system for personal mastery, for business mastery, for wealth mastery, in the context of a mastermind, an alliance, a network with connections and partnerships at our, and therefore your fingertips, that will blow up your ability to change the world, to become your complete self in every area of femininity, and then to teach other women to do the same, and then to even take that business training and run with it. Because so much of what's happened with women who work with me, Sunny, is they begin in my framework. They learn how to do sales. They learn marketing. They learn online business strategies. They learn all the things that don't work that I have culled through for them. You're welcome. They learn killer branding. They learn, heart-centered conversations to coach someone to transformation. And then they get excited and they go do something else too, right? Like they get into e-commerce. They start, their own course. They add on a network marketing element to their business, and they expand even more. And I think the reason that happens so much with the way I coach Sunny is because of the internal transformation that I insist on, right? Like when the women become internally empowered, they see themselves differently. And it's not just chasing numbers until you run out of breath and collapse. It's this driven, deeply grounded, transformed in yourself. Therefore, like the hunger to transform others doesn't go away. I mean, it gets me up every morning and it puts me to bed happily every night. It is such a firm, consistent drive. And I know you have it too, because I know your story and I know your goals and I know the way you're orienting what you're doing. Like everything is impact, and yet it has to work or impact won't happen, right? It's a framework that must work. But the internal transformation and the desire to change others is what keeps it from ever running out of steam. I've used the phrase before, never run out of fire. And that's how you never run out of fire. So I hope this has been helpful to you guys. I hope this has been inspiring. This is the tip of the iceberg. And this is something that I'm going to be, I mean, basically, I want to say like, this is the rest of my life, but this is the framework I have been waiting for, kind of just listening for, watching, developing to change women's lives, to change the world through not only their changed lives, but empowering them to now go out and be a messenger with everything they need to succeed to change other women's lives on a great, massive scale. And I'm going to be going more and more into this in the future, but I wanted to introduce this idea to you, this concept, this framework, and get you excited about your ability to step into proven processes, proven frameworks that still give you flexibility and permission in these areas, both internally, so you never become the chick who's chasing numbers, burned out, and whose, success feels like a facade. And you also don't become the woman who's so sweet, so kind, so well-intentioned that she has no idea how to make money and grow wealth. You are the both and. This is the bombshell. And we're going to surround you with the most powerful people we find to put you on the jet set path, if you will, like the Ferrari speed path to success, because it's an alliance. That's the entire point. You are the bombshell. This is the Bombshell Alliance. So if this is of interest to you, I would love to tell you more. There's never any pressure when you talk to me. So I will make sure that there is a link you guys can easily find and click to book a fully complimentary call. Learn more about this. But if you have been looking for some kind of life coaching certification program, some kind of business building certification where you can step into your own ability to transform lives, but you also are hoping for the comfort of a construct that's already been developed, already been proven to work, already been highly successful and profitable, and you want to make sure you don't lose the touch and the support of being held as an actual human being too, and then pulling in the secret sauce of Mr. Sunny Tran, who is magically gifted. I mean, there's spiritual gifts, and he's like spiritually gifted with money, if I can put it that way, like magically gifted with protecting, developing, growing, investing wealth, and has such a heart for, as you heard, financially empowered women who are very focused on impact and mission. Then let's do this. Let's do this. It's time. It's more than time. The world is reawakening after COVID. We are seeing things differently. Women are recognizing their power. Men are asking for support, and we are born equipped to give it. This is the framework in which it happens. Okay? I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Sunny, thank you so much for your wisdom, your just good-heartedness, and your time here with us today. It's been an honor, a joy, a delight. We will talk to you soon.
It's been a pleasure. See you, ladies.
Bye.